We go into the four pillars of what we all call as a good real estate deal: property condition, motivation, time frame, and a price point. So our reps are always trying to get all of that information for you, and then they book that appointment. Really good to be here, guys. My name is Vince Hall, and I am with Call Porter. So just to kind of give you guys a little overview of what we do at Call Porter, for those of you that might not be familiar with us, we are a 24/7 live answering call center strictly for real estate investors. So we don't do anything outside of real estate. This is our baby. This is what we do. This is our niche. And specifically, what I'm going to be talking about today is more on our fractional lead management side of things. So we've got our 24/7 live answering, but the fractional lead manager is, right, someone who's going to be dedicated to you, working your leads, following up in your pipeline, that kind of stuff.
Sounds great, man. Did you want to do a Q&A, or you wanted to just kind of lay the groundwork, have a presentation?
I really don't have, a presentation of sorts, but we can definitely do a Q&A. I can kind of maybe give kind of the 30,000 foot overview of what it is, and then we can kind of get into the nitty gritty from there if you like.
Yeah, that'll be great, man.
The fractional lead manager. So that's kind of what we title it. You've probably heard of like fractional CEOs and fractional COOs and things like that. So these lead managers, they're not, full-time with you guys. They are there to help you at a minimum of 2 hours a day. So that's the minimum requirement to have a fractional lead manager with Call Porter. I also want to say that all of our lead managers 100% US based. We don't outsource. We don't hire, VAs in the Philippines or Egypt or anything like that. They're all here in-house at Call Porter. Actually, to be a lead manager at Call Porter, we're actually promoting within. We don't even hire outside of Call Porter. So the phone reps that have been really good on the inbound side of things, good client feedback, hit their numbers really well, we promote them and move them over to the fractional lead manager. That being said, what the lead manager does is they're going to essentially get into your pipeline of leads. We love working with in REsimpli. Our reps are trained in REsimpli. They know it front and back. They are really good at tagging people appropriately, moving the deal deck around, keeping your CRM organized. They are there to, essentially keep conversation going and book appointments for you. Is that okay for now?
Yeah,
I don't want to go too far into it. So if anybody's got kind of questions based upon what I just said there, we can definitely go into more.
So you said, first of all, that you need to hire a lead manager for minimum 2 hours.
A minimum 2 hours.
2 hours a day, so 10 hours a week, right?
Correct. Yep.
And it has to be minimum 2 hours a day. It cannot be. And then can you choose the time for that? Like, based on what time zone I'm in?
Yep. So the way that it kind of works with us is, if you even are interested in a lead manager, you have an interview on Zoom, just kind of like what we're doing now. So it's either myself or Chris Kwok over at the call center and the lead manager, and you just have a quick interview, just to even see if you jive well with a person, right? And then from there, there's an additional like form that the potential client fills out, and they put their time preferences in there on when they would want the lead manager to work. And then we try to do our best to fulfill, like, obviously their first preference or their second preference for time.
Right. And what have you noticed, like the clients that are using you guys, what have you noticed, like how many deals are they doing for it to make sense? I mean, I would imagine it would be some experienced investors.
Yes.
And then also some 9-to-5 people.
Yeah. Most of our clients with the lead managers are your seasoned investors that have a decent pipeline of leads. They're continuously marketing. That's the most important part of it. If you're not consistently marketing, a lead manager with Call Porter probably doesn't make sense. Or maybe you are consistently marketing and you're behind in your follow-ups, and you're just like, everybody knows, like, follow-up that's the tough part of everything, right? That's where the money is made, though. So we've got clients that use our lead managers to get caught up. So they're like with us maybe for a month or 2, 3 months. And then we've got clients that have been with us long term because they have that consistent pipeline that they want us working in. So very minimally do we see, people that still have a W-2 9 to 5 using the lead management system. They are using the inbound side of things because they don't want to miss a phone call while they're at work.
What would you say the most important role of or KPI for a lead manager is?
Booking appointments.
Booking appointment.
Hmm.
And are they
Yeah.
also qualifying the lead?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So they're definitely qualifying the lead. And the way that we do that at Paul Porter, obviously the seller information, and you might already have some information within your CRM. So they're touching base with what information's already there. But let's say it's just like a clean slate, right? Seller information, and then we go into the 4 pillars of what we all call as a good real estate deal: property condition, motivation, time frame, and a price point. So our reps are always trying to get all of that information for you, and then they book that appointment. Now, clients are different on, they're like, I don't care if I get all of that information, book the appointment. So it just really depends on the client as well, on how you want us to do that.
Got it. So you would have those 4 pillars, but at the end of the day, it's the client that's basically driving the process and saying, hey,
Yep,
just book me as many appointments as you want, or depending on how many leads they have, they might say, hey, just make sure it's a qualified appointment, otherwise don't book me an appointment.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
It's very client dependent.
okay, is the lead manager, the fractional lead manager, is that person mostly calling, texting, emailing, or doing a little bit of everything?
Again, very client dependent. So depending on what you want that lead manager to do, they can certainly do all of that, within REsimpli if they're doing that, or and they're working in all kinds of different CRMs. But REsimpli is their favorite. And that, I'm not just like putting that out there because we're on a REsimpli mastermind. It truly is our lead manager's favorite CRM to work in. But yeah, they can call, they can text, they can email, set up the drip campaigns, keep your CRM organized. But it all depends. Like if you're like, hey, I really want my lead manager on an auto dialer because I want them hitting 200 calls a day, then they're probably not texting and emailing and leaving voicemails, So it really is on what that client wants us to do.
So when you have a client, when you have a lead manager working with a client, what are some of the biggest challenges that you notice, initially working with a client? Is it not the right expectations or, not enough leads or too many leads?
Honestly, one of the biggest roadblocks, unfortunately, is the client not communicating enough with the lead manager. They think it's more get a lead manager and it's hands off. We really don't want it to be that way. We really want a good communication between the lead manager and the client. And then, yeah, I think also expectations kind of up front. We set the precedence of like, hey, these are lead managers. They're working your pipeline. They're not executive assistants. They're not ordering coffee and booking appointments. And they're not calling vendors and contractors, because we've had clients try to kind of get in and try to do that kind of stuff. So we're very clear on what we're doing. And then sometimes the expectations on the client side aren't as clear. So what we've been doing on like onboarding is, again, that form that they fill out upon onboarding really makes things pretty crystal clear. But also, I always ask the client to set us up with some sort of SOP that the rep can follow so that everybody's on the same page.
And then once you assign a lead manager with a client, with an investor,
Hmm.
is the expectation that the investor be doing daily huddle with the lead manager, or what sort of? Then at that point, am I connecting directly with the lead manager? Am I going through
Yes.
you or Chris?
Yeah, we are always connecting with the lead manager. If you want to have a daily huddle, that's great. We have clients that do that where maybe like 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, they have that huddle. And others where, there may be 3 times a week. I always say at a minimum, communicate with your lead manager 3 times a week. Like just touch base. Our lead managers, they'll give you their cell phone numbers. You can text them, you can reach out to them directly. That's totally okay.
And for the lead manager, let's say if I want to hire a fractional lead manager, am I interviewing multiple lead managers, or do you just assign me one, whoever is available?
We'll assign you the one the first time, and then
Okay.
if you don't like that person, we can just bring in someone else. As this has continued to grow, we're thinking about putting like 3 or 4 kind of in a Zoom room, and kind of just having a 5 minute interview. So, setting at 20 minutes and interviewing 4 lead managers, and then after that 5 minutes, you kind of choose who you'd like best. But
Got it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just trying to figure out what that looks like.
What makes someone a really good lead manager?
Great on the phones, for one. We want them to be very good conversationalists. We don't want them to sound robotic at all. Someone that is super organized and also pretty studious in learning new things. So while, you guys are on a REsimpli call here, the reps know REsimpli really well. They're pretty trained in how to use that CRM, but also they need to be trained on how you specifically want to do follow up, and they can learn those things. So somebody very, very conversationalist, knows the expectations of the client so that they can have a pretty good handoff of a good qualified lead. And that's really what we're looking for over when we move people over into this side of things here.
Are you guys doing any personality tests when you move someone over to a lead manager? Like this personality test, works best as a lead manager?
Good question. We haven't. However, I just onboarded a guy who's giving his own personality tests because he has something specifically that he likes within his system. And I said, well, how long does it take? And he said, it's about 10 minutes. And I said, that's great. You can go ahead and send that if you'd like.
So when
Yeah.
you're promoting someone from, taking incoming calls over to a lead manager role, you're basically looking at, how long they've been with call porter, what's their feedback been, how good they're on the phone, and those sort of things.
Right. Yeah. And they're also trained, in the general aspects of lead management as they come over to that side of things. But yeah, mostly it's based upon, hey, this person's got great client feedback. They take just very meticulous, accurate notes on sellers. They hit their numbers all the time. They're one of the top 5 reps. They're hitting their bonuses every week, like all that kind of stuff. We want to move them over.
Right. Actually, you bring up a good point. So let's say if I had a lead manager, so I'm paying them, I'm assuming hourly, right? And
Mm-hmm.
do you mind sharing what that rate is?
Oh, so it's for 2 hours a day. It's $12.99, so $1,299 a month for
Okay,
40 hours.
$1,299 a month. And these are US based. And then I can also have incentive structure built
Mm-hmm.
out for that lead manager that
Yep.
goes directly to the lead manager.
Yes, you can. Yep.
Got it. Well, that's great. Yeah, I think it definitely makes a difference having a US lead manager. And one other thing that I've noticed personally in my experience is if a person is in a lead manager role, if the person is organized and just you come up with a process that lead manager can follow, that I feel like is half the battle with lead
Mm-hmm.
manager is going in every day, following the process day in, day out, and then just sticking with it, trusting the process that if you do that every single day, it's just a matter of time before you start seeing a good, consistent deal flow coming in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we all know the saying, fortune's in the follow-up. And unfortunately, I just can't tell you how many times pipelines aren't
Right.
even touched. It's crazy.
100%. And
Yeah.
then would the lead manager also able to help in the prospecting part of it, or you keep that sort of work away from a lead manager? Let's say if
Yeah.
I had a lead manager say, hey, can you like
Like
take
help
this
build a
list and
buyer's list or something.
that, or just cold call this list of prospects that I have. These
Yeah,
are not really
no cold calling.
no cold calling.
I'll send you over to Lead Mining Pros or REI call center or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. What other questions you guys have for Vince Hall on, how to work with a lead manager and specifically, anything with the call porter fractional lead manager program?
Gotcha.
And then on the lead manager side, are you guys tracking any KPIs or is it on the client that's working with the lead manager to track those, be responsible
Both.
for those?
Yeah, both.
What sort of
Uh,
KPIs are you guys tracking that you think are important?
Booked appointments for sure. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones. I don't have any numbers in February yet for the total. In January, I think it was like 391 booked appointments for our clients.
Do you have some
Yeah.
data on what's a good conversion from, how many calls would a lead manager need to make before they can book a good appointment, just to have some sort of expectations?
Man, that's hard. That's hard to say just because again, what the lead manager is doing is pretty customizable. So I would probably have to get those from like individual clients and what they're doing. I
Right.
can say like on the inbound side of things, about a third of the calls that come in, we book qualified leads for our clients. I mean, yeah, it just depends. Like, again, we've got clients, they don't care how qualified they are. They want the appointment. They want, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, hey,
Right.
if someone gave me a name and an email and a phone number, that's a good enough
That's
lead
good
for me.
enough. Yeah. It's
And
interesting you
others are
said,
like, yeah.
yeah, it's interesting you said that on the inbound marketing,
Mm-hmm.
you're noticing one appointment every three leads.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the power of inbound marketing. And just speaking of that, are you noticing like any particular marketing that's working better in today's market in terms of getting appointments? And do you also get to see the data after how many of those appointments are converting into a deal? So you have 391. Do you
We
like
don't,
get to
yeah, we don't see them converting into a deal, unfortunately. We get feedback from clients
right?
all the time when they're like, hey, so and so took this call better than I ever could. You know, she took the notes. I went and got an appointment, closed the deal, and they give us a screenshot or whatever, and I'll share it on
Nice.
social media or something like that. But yeah, and I wish clients would do that more than more than they would. Whenever anything's wrong, they're always for sure, reach out to us. But for the wins, I would like more of that. Getting back to what you said right previous to that, you mentioned
The
the
marketing channel, that's
the marketing channels. Yeah. Honestly, like consistency in anything's great.
right.
I never really want to say one thing over another. Direct mail is the OG. It just
Right.
is. It's
Agreed.
it's safe, it's ethical. You can get a lot of value out. I mean, it just is what it is. PPC has been huge for a lot of our clients. And so one thing at Call Porter that we have considering PPC and your PPL ads, even social media ads, we have a system called Instant Web Lead Capture and Dial at Call Porter, where let's say you do have a PPC ad that comes in and someone fills out a form online. We're actually making that call to that person within 90 seconds of them submitting the form. So it's very quick speed to lead. And if they don't pick up the phone at that 90 seconds, we're calling again 30 minutes later, 3 hours later, the next day.
Yeah, I think that's especially on the inbound leads on specifically on PPC, we
Hmm.
noticed like speed to lead is definitely extremely important, especially if imagine like a seller that's filling out your website form, whether it's SEO or PPC, but mostly for PPC,
Hmm.
you're not the only form that they're filling out. you
Guarantee
know,
it.
yeah, they're filling out at least two or three different forms at the same time. And then if you can get to the seller while they're filling out the form, and as soon as they fill the form and get them on the phone, you're gonna have a huge advantage over, other competitors. So we have a feature built in REsimpli. As soon as someone submits a form online, you immediately get a text, you get an automated call from us, and then whoever picks up the phone, anybody on your team, you just say, hey, you want to be connected to the seller. We call the seller immediately. So within like
Hmm.
30 seconds of a seller submitting a form, you're connected with the lead. I mean,
Yeah.
these are like advanced features that a lot of bigger companies are using, like similar to, what you guys have called Porter. And those are the small little things that make a difference.
Yeah.
That's where your ROI from PPC, you might be making every dollar that you're spending, you're making, let's say, $4 or $5, which is great, nothing wrong with that. But if you clean up the process and you're able to get to the lead a little bit faster than your competitor, that number can go from 4, 5 to like 6, 7, or 8, because
Hmm.
now you're getting more of the sellers on the phone. And I'm sure you guys are noticing the same thing on, whether it's incoming calls from direct mail or any other inbound marketing like PPC, TV ads, radio ads. Just
Anything. Yep.
the most important thing is getting in touch with the seller as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got clients that put on their website, fill out this form, we'll call you in minutes. Yep.
All right. So Derek has a question. I'm hearing a
Yeah.
lot of book appointments in the discussion, but nothing about closing deals. What is the limit of what the lead managers do?
Yeah, so they're not acquisition managers. They don't close. Some of them are trained in making offers, not all of them. The ones that have been trained in making offers are usually trained by the client. They're like so highly sought after. As soon as they're available, somebody picks them right up. So unfortunately, most of it is just keeping that pipeline moving, right? And getting people where they need to be, tagging people appropriately, and just kind of generating those conversations and getting that booked appointment over to whoever on your team. So yeah, they're not closing deals.
And Derek has a question. It says your website says that lead
Mhm.
manager have their own script. Is that true?
Well, our inbound reps, we have our own script, which if any of you want it, I'll send it to you. You know, just give it to you. If you just want to give, you know, your email, I'll send you our script. No problem. But yeah, I mean, if you're kind of going after like single family, small multifamily properties, our script is phenomenal. We built it off of Andrew Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a fantastic script. On the lead manager side of things, it's usually the script of the client. Mhm.
And then another question from Derek. How does speed to lead work out when your callers are only working for people 2 hours per day? How can they get to the leads that quickly?
Good question. So Derek, there's two sides to Call Porter. There's the 24/7 live answering instant web lead capture and dial side, which would be your PPC ads, right? And those being getting attention quickly. And then there's the fractional lead manager side of things. So the fractional is only working 2 hours a day outbound.
So lead managers are not the ones that are like getting back to it's the inbound
Yep,
callers that
it's
are
the
getting back to
inbound.
the
Yep,
lead.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Derek, if you're not, I would highly suggest like trying out the feature in speed to lead. That's what we know does a lot of bigger teams, especially that the ones that are doing a lot of inbound marketing, you know, PPC, SEO, TV, radio ads, or even direct mail, are using the speed to lead feature. It's like as soon as you get a lead, there's a bunch of different triggers, whether it comes from your website, you know, your web form, there's a couple of other triggers. It immediately like connects you with the seller within 30 seconds. So it's like super, super fast. So
Mhm.
really great for inbound marketing, or like paper lead is another good one that a lot of investors are using that for.
Yep.
Again, like especially with inbound marketing, like the faster you can get in touch with a seller that's filling out that form, or that's when they have the highest motivation when they're filling out your website form, or when they are calling you based on the ad that they see, whether it's from direct mail or whatnot, something triggered them to make that call. So if you can pick up the call, or you know, have call porter on the back end that they can take the call and speak with the seller, like that's when you're going to get the most information. It's mind blowing how many times a seller will call about selling a property, but if you miss the initial call, it's becomes almost impossible in a number of cases to get back, you know, get in touch with the seller. I'm sure, Vince, you guys notice that a lot, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, like
that's the
you,
whole reason why Call Porter even started.
yeah,
You
it
know,
just,
so yeah, you know, Ryan, our owner, just had a date with his wife back in like 2016, 2017, had some direct mail out and phone rang and she's like, "Don't you dare answer that." And he's like,
yeah.
but, and she's like, "I don't care." Right. I mean, I think it was maybe 3 hours later, he called that seller and the seller said, "Hey, if you had picked up your phone, I would have given it to you, but he lost the deal." And it was like 30 grand that he lost.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan did okay. You know, I think
He's doing all right now.
he's doing all right, and he should thank Morgan for that, you know, coming up with the idea of call porter.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, guys. If like we send out direct mail, people call us, we might get another call, we miss the call, or for whatever reason, you know, or we have a conversation, it's a quick conversation. They say, "Hey, I'm gonna call you back" or something. Man, it's crazy how challenging it is to get in touch with them. You text them, you call them, but you cannot get hold of them. So it
Mhm.
like the initial call becomes so important when your new seller is calling. That's when they have the highest motivation, and that's when you have the highest chance of getting, you know, as much information as you possibly can from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question for you guys on the call. Realistically, what's your answer rate? I just really want you to think about it. And I want you to put it in the chat if you're, you know, have the cojones to throw it in there. I really want to know what your answer rate is.
Okay, that's a tough question. We just hired a new full-time lead manager. He's actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're noticing the lead quality from inbound is definitely much higher, but we're not getting as many inbound calls. We're getting
Hmm.
like these web leads that we're getting
Right.
in touch with. Even with
Yeah.
those, I mean, sometimes it can be challenging. Like these people fill out the form, have motivation, but then when you try to get in touch with them, yeah, it's just like they never wanted to sell their house.
Yeah.
From filling out a form, hey, my house is just about to fall down. I'm ready to sell right now. I'm behind on taxes, behind on mortgage. When you
Hmm.
call them, they're like, yeah, I know, I'm okay. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, guys, if you want to put in the chat what your answer rate is, it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see. What's the answer rate
The
at?
Right, sits around right around 97 to 98% at Call Porter. So if you're
That's
routing the
incredible.
calls over to us, obviously there's times calls go to voicemail. It is
Right.
what it is. There
Oh yeah, I
isn't.
mean, there's gonna
Yeah,
be chances when someone calls and they just hang up after like a
yeah.
couple of rings. Yeah.
Yep. There isn't a call center out there that says they answer 100% of the time. But let's just say you're good. You've got a 70% answering rate, right? Which is fantastic. I would think that would be awesome. Like what would an extra 28% of live answering do for you? It's a game changer. It really is when you are able to get those leads on the phone the first time.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like going from 78 or 70, 60, 70%, I mean, I would even say like 70%, you're being very generous on
Hmm.
live answering. But let's say even if it's 70% to go from 70, add another, even let's say 25%, when you think about it, that's like, about 25, 30% more deals when you just think about in terms of percentage.
Hmm.
The more calls you answer live, the more deals you're gonna have. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool. What other questions you guys have for Vince, guys, about lead manager or the best practices on taking inbound calls? Like,
Fractional lead managers, their own follow-up process and sequence in place. Yeah, we do. We have our own. However, again, it's very customizable to how what the client wants. Let's say you've got a direct mail campaign out, right? You send some mail, you got 5,000 pieces out there, and then they've hit mailboxes, that people are getting them. You've got even inbound calls of people saying, take me off your list. So they're hitting, right? Well, then you can get your lead manager to say, okay, we've got the direct mail out. So what we want you to do is make a phone call to reach those people within the list, see if you can get them on the phone, followed by a text, and so there can be a process of how you specifically want them to follow up. Or you can just go with what, Call Porter would recommend just based upon what you tell us you're doing for marketing, and we'll kind of help you along the way with that as well. So it's both and honestly.
hey, Vince, do the lead
Thanks,
managers work
JP.
on the weekends or weekdays only?
So they can work weekends. That is, so we have 3 lead managers that work weekends. Nobody works a Sunday that I know of. Saturdays are big. So there are some lead managers that work Saturdays, but most of the time it's Monday through Friday.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool. Guys, what other questions you have for Vince about the lead manager or about incoming calls?
Yeah, it can be anything Call Porter related, guys. Like honestly, don't be shy. I'm not here to I'm just here to educate, man.
Yeah.
Like
And
honestly.
if you want to get the script that Vince was talking about, you can put your email in the chat and then Vince can get that sent out to you guys.
Who in here has not heard of us before? Just curious. Anybody?
Well, I think everybody's heard of you guys.
Okay, cool. How many of you have seen our silly commercials that are out?
Those are funny, man. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Ryan sends me. I'm not on Instagram, but Ryan shares some of those every now and then with me. He'll send
Oh yeah.
me the one. It's like, hey, check this out. And they're pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got some good ones coming out for Call Porter
Yeah.
and Ballpoint pretty soon.
Yeah. See you and Jeremy doing that. You guys seem like you have a lot of fun doing those.
So yeah, Jeremy and I do a lot of them. Justin's involved now a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we've got some people that we kind of just some extra help that we hire for a little while.
Great actors. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fun, man. Yeah. You guys are super creative with your marketing side.
Thanks,
I gotta
man.
say that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, even
Appreciate
with
it.
your like postcards and stuff on ballpoint marketing side, really creative design ideas.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Vince, what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you or someone at Call Porter to learn a little bit more about
Yeah.
fractional lead
So
manager?
here I'll put so you can just reach me at vince.hall@callporter.com. That's the best place. And you can even text me if you have just, any specific questions, totally can help you with that as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
vince.hall@callporter.com.
I'll
Yeah. So
put that
I'll
in.
change that. And then my phone number, Sherrod, 314-947-3765. Anybody can.
Please. All right, Vince. Any last words for anyone?
Honestly, guys, like if you are, using REsimpli and you've got consistent marketing out, I cannot tell you how well the integration is with Call Porter. I mean, it is absolutely seamless, both on the inbound side of things and on the fractional lead management side of things. And real quick, just how on the inbound side works. we don't get login credentials to your REsimpli CRM. The way that we actually give you data is accessing the web form link from REsimpli, right? You all have the standard questions that we can ask in that web form, and you can also customize that as well. So our reps are essentially filling out fields on that web form. They hit submit, it goes into REsimpli in real time. As long as you have notifications turned on, you're getting that text or that email that a new lead's been made. The phone call recording is in REsimpli as well, because when someone calls your marketing number, all we've given you is a forwarding number that goes into your call flow. So it still goes through your number and all the recordings are there. You'll be able to hear every single conversation. The rep is signing their name to every single form. The lead managers, again, they know REsimpli front and back. If your pipeline of leads is behind and you're not following up, get at them for a month or two and just get caught up. They'll knock it out like that for you. Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and we have some updates coming in a month or two just to make the follow process much easier, where you can manage the list that or the leads that you have in separate buckets. So it would make it super simple. Apply a bunch of different filters. So we have that coming in next couple of months. So I think that'll make the whole lead management or lead follow process much easier. So you'll be able to know, okay, exactly these are the leads that I need to follow up today. Just go and start dialing or start texting from there.
That's cool.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And there's a few of you that email me or direct message me or email, and I'll send you that script for sure.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you so much for the
Anytime.
information. Yeah.
Yep.
Much appreciated.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being on the call. See you guys on the next week call. Thank you.